All right, ESPN ranked college football's top stadiums. These are the top 12. LSU with Tiger Stadium, the Rose Bowl, UCLA, Michigan Stadium, Notre Dame Stadium, Beaver Stadium, Husky Stadium, Washington. I've always heard that talked about. I've never seen it on anyone's top 10 list ever. Ohio State with Ohio Stadium, Camp Randall at Wisconsin, Bryant-Denny ahead of Neyland, Memorial Stadium at Clemson, and then Michie Stadium, Army. Of course, that's one I think everybody would love to see. But this is my question. It's subjective. You don't know how you're ranking this. You know, the Rose Bowl, I would love to see it if it's a bowl game being played.
Right.
If there's 15,000 UCLA fans, it's not that big of a draw. But is Alabama ahead of you because they just win there all the time? Because I would put Neyland ahead of Bryant-Denny.
Yep. So
if you're just talking bucket list, not us, but Joe sports fan, okay? Which ones on that list are bucket list? I think Notre Dame is.
Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl for a bowl game, I guess.
Yeah, for a bowl game.
Michigan Stadium's the biggest in the country. I think it would be.
LSU
Tiger Stadium, yeah.
But I don't really think you feel
let's
that
put
way
that
about Penn State, do you?
Yeah, see, that stadium's only
Penn State
1960.
is something I would love to be able to
Whiteout.
experience. A whiteout at Penn State, Camp Randall jump
around.
I want to experience that. Michie Stadium, I think, of course, we all see because of the Army. I think part
touching
of
Howard's Rock and they run into Clemson.
Yeah. There's part of when it comes to stadiums like this and lists, it's about memorable moments.
Yeah.
And Tennessee hasn't created one in 20 years.
Yeah, no, that Alabama win.
That was nice for Tennessee.
Everybody
it was
in
a
the
nice
nation saw that
little
thing.
49?
It was a nice little moment.
That was all over.
A nice little moment. Blindside.
Moment
He's
that
got-
meant nothing
man.
in the grand scheme at the end of the day. It was a
You know
feel-good.
we needed a Stephen A. moment, so
Look,
you brought
that was
it out.
Look, it
It's
was a
good.
great win. That's an ice cream
People-
cone. It's delicious and it melts in
No,
5
that's
seconds.
I've talked to people. I went to a game once with a guy. This was before we started the show. A guy who was from Nebraska, who had one of those guys that had visited like 20 stadiums.
Right.
And Neyland Stadium was on his bucket list.
Yeah.
I think Neyland Stadium and I think Ohio Stadium in Columbus, the Shoe, are both bucket list stadiums.
Neyland's top 7 at worst on that list.
I think so too. I put it ahead of Husky Stadium.
I think it's a great
Wisconsin.
stadium.
With
I think
the-
Bryant-Denny's been upgraded more recently than Neyland
Right.
has. When they renovate Neyland, that will be a difference maker. But just right now, part of it for people all over the nation, we're living in it in Knoxville. They're not. They've seen one quality moment from Tennessee in 20 years, and that was the Alabama win.
But it's
right?
a great atmosphere.
It's great. That doesn't mean it's bad.
Well,
it
if
just
you're a
means
Joe Blow fan, you
nationally-
just want to go to a game.
Yeah,
you
but I
don't
will
care
say,
who wins.
Oklahoma, I heard from so many Oklahoma people that fans say that's the best trip they've ever been on.
Well, there you
this
go.
week alone.
That's the point. I
So,
know.
so it's great, but I don't think it's as renowned because Tennessee's not been good in a while.
You know what we haven't talked
Okay.
about yet? Checker Neyland.
That's
The white-
exactly what I was going to say.
The fireworks, that whole
The
thing.
white-
the
Neyland
lighting
at
show.
night is like up there, in top 5.
Running through the tee, you see that. It's in the it's
Yeah.
in the video game, and the way they've recreated that shows you there's so many.
Look,
moments.
that was such an off the wall point. Let's move on. Let's stop beating him up. Let's
It
forgive
wasn't
him.
in the top 20 in the game either.
It's Sunday.
10. It's
I-
13.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. It was the top 10, yeah.
I think. Look, I've been to Ohio Stadium in Columbus a million times, and I can tell you those teams need to play each other. Because everything Ohio State does is what Tennessee does.
Right.
Everything Tennessee does is what Ohio State
dusty.
does. Ancient stadiums, bands, both on the side of a river.
Right.
I'm telling you, those teams need to get together. And having been at both, there's a special aura in those buildings that you get. That's why I would love to go to Army. That would be on my list. Is there anybody else in the SEC? I was surprised Texas A&M, which has the biggest stadium in the conference, wasn't
Yeah.
on there.
Florida.
I was going to say, the Swamp.
The Swamp, to me, is a top 5 or 6 stadium in the country.
I think Joe Blow, average fan from wherever, would say Florida, the Swamp.
Like you said, a lot of this is recent history. It's who's
That-
won.
What
That's-
about
that's a
Darrell
lot
Oil?
of it,
Yeah.
is who's
What about Darrell Oil Stadium at Texas?
Would you take that or the Cotton Bowl? Which one would you do?
I've been to the Cotton Bowl,
Yeah.
You talk about needing some upgrades.
but still, that's a
Yeah, historically.
well. When I went, it was a bucket list thing to go.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, we got to catch a break.
when things are going well, Auburn is one of the loudest.
Yes.
That's true.
I've been there. I hate that place. All right. When we come back, the Vols are considered to be in the playoff mix along with many others. So will it be a disappointment if they don't mix their way into the playoffs? Let's discuss that.